What's good, everybody, and welcome back to the channel for another episode of our draft-only rebuild here on MLB the Show with the Birmingham Barons. Yes, technically we're the White Sox, but like I stated in the intro of episode 1, the format we're going to do this series is we are going to treat the AA team as the main team until we win the championship at the AA level. Then we'll move to AAA, do the same, and then and only then will we actually take over the Chicago White Sox. So for Season 1 at least, we will be the Birmingham Barons. Let's go ahead and just take a quick overview of some of our best players, kind of our A and B potential players. Carl McIntyre was the first round pick of our second draft. He looks really good to be a contact infielder, but he has really low durability, so we got to be wary of that. Alden Evans, a fantastic contact hitter over at right field. Jason Gill, currently tied for the highest potential on the team. Also a guy with some contact and some fielding. You're going to see kind of a trend with that. A lot of our top players right now, or players that we're going to be playing, are contact hitters. One guy that's not quite that is Kevin Sandoval, who excellent fielding catcher, going to be a beast behind the plate, both now and in the future. But will that bat ever develop? That's somebody that I wanted to take in year one, just to give him as much time for the bat to develop before he has to play in the majors as we possibly could. John May, pitcher. He's our highest ceiling pitcher with 96 potential. That ties the highest on the team. Daniel Driver. Stamina-wise, maybe he's only going to be a long-term long reliever, but he throws with some absolute gas with that 98-mile-an-hour fastball. Diego Moya is our best lefty, 60 overall with B potential, so perhaps getting a lefty would also be of benefit to the squad. And then Blake Boyer down at just 58 overall, but also projects to maybe be a solid contact hitter and fielder in the future once he actually reaches close to that potential, if he ever does, because with people with overalls that low, it's always kind of shot in the dark whether they will. And then Buster Pringle, only C potential here, but he is our highest overall player, so I thought we should shout him out. And then that's kind of the squad that I wanted to preview here for the team. Another thing I stated in episode 1 was that this would be a CPU versus CPU gameplay franchise, and with that I think some slider changes were needed, because I just feel like in CPU versus CPU, offense is lacking a little bit, particularly at the minor league level. And so here are the sliders that we will be starting with. I got these sliders just looking up CPU versus CPU MLB the Show 23, and just kind of going with that. The one thing that I changed is they had base runner steal ability and frequency maxed out. I'm going to go one below that. I just tend to try to avoid being at the extremes when it comes to sliders in any direction. And so we're at a 9, but that forum suggests a 10 on both of those. Everything is just how it is there. I played a few games to see if these changes actually led to increased offense, and I liked what I saw. It's still not like crazy offense, but it's much better than what we've seen kind of when we've gone CPU versus CPU in the minor leagues. In the athletics franchise that we've done, where just offense seems to be impossible. We have to keep in mind that for this first game, though, this will be a battle of the aces, as Buster Pringle going to be probably one of the best pitchers at the AA level at 74 overall. I imagine most other teams with a pitcher at 74 overall don't have him at AA, either AAA or maybe even kind of in like the 5th spot of their rotation. But Marty Dempsey over at third base, makes a beautiful diving play to get the first out of this franchise. He's not somebody that we're probably looking at long term, but for right now, I think he's going to be a good option at third base. Hits righties really well, but definitely a platoon level hitter. And then Kevin Alcantara gets caught swinging to end the top of the first, one of the better players we'll be facing here at AA level this year. Carl McIntyre will lead off for the squad, striking out. Bringing up Marty Dempsey once again, made that excellent diving play in the top of the first, but here we'll pop out to the catcher, Amaya, and that will be 2 quick outs. Let's go ahead and take a look at the order that we'll be rocking with. This is against lefties only. Against righties, it's a little bit shaken up, but for the most part, when I was setting this lineup, I realized one thing. We need some power, and so we'll kind of take our first look at the draft later at the end of this episode. But Spencer Henson makes a diving play of his own. So both third basemen out here making some good plays for their squads in the field. Strikeout there by Buster Pringle on Kevin Wiseman, hitting the 4th spot for the Smokies, which I like the name quite a bit. Another strikeout to end the second, and Buster Pringle has had a strong start to his year. That brings up Leandro Velasquez, our 2nd highest overall player on the entire team. Has already hit his potential, though. Is a switch hitter, and I could see him honestly being in play for the franchise throughout the long haul, even though he'll never really be higher than 74 overall unless he wins like a Surprise of the Year award. Then he can get one of that high C territory, but being kind of that backup option in the outfield for us long term, I could definitely see that being a viable option. Benito Vasquez playing 2nd base for us this year. Only has D potential. He's also maxed out at around 67 overall, so I imagine he's going to help us get through the minors portions of this franchise, but as soon as we get to the majors, that 67 overall is just not going to fly. Chad Pollock ranging over to make the play in foul territory. He's playing first base for us. That is not his natural position. If you take a look at his skill set, I think I had to switch him from like a shortstop or a 2nd baseman over to first base just so that we'd have somebody to play first base. His game is like pure speed, and that's not like a first baseman's kind of play style. Ranging deep in center field is Carl McIntyre, able to get us through the 3rd. We allowed a hit for the first time in this 3rd inning, but Smokey's not able to make anything of it. And the bottom of our order will be coming up for our squad. Jeff Melvin plays shortstop for us against lefties only. And then Blake Boyer, our A potential shortstop, will be playing against righties. Chad Pollock will take a look at the ball, but a pitch out leads to a caught stealing. So bad to see that even, with the steal success being cranked up to 9, that if you try to steal on a pitch out, you're probably going to get caught stealing. So that's always nice. And Chad Pollock there will reach base with a hit. He's going to try to steal a bag. This one is safe, like I said. First baseman, very unusual skill set as he's all speed, but that speed is going to be very helpful on the base paths should he get there. He is our lowest overall starter for our position players at just 51 overall. When you're doing a draft-only franchise, much kind of like I do in Madden as well, you're going to have some really big holes on the roster at the start of your franchise, we'll just say that. So, first base, also the fact that we need power hitting, that's probably going to be one of our biggest things we're looking for. Marty Dempsey up to the plate here, 1-1 pitch with 2 outs. Could have brought home a run from 3rd here, but the fly ball will be another scoreless inning. That's 3 straight scoreless innings for both sides here, 0-0. As we get into the 4th, Jefferson Encarnacion will get on base for the Smokies. Should be extra bases as Jason Gill over there playing left base. We'll get the throw in, but a stand-up double, bringing up Kevin Alcantara, who lifts this one deep to center field. Carl McIntyre almost felt like he wasn't expecting a tag there, because usually you see people try to get some momentum gaining forward if they have time. And with Carl McIntyre's, elite speed, I thought he did have time to do that. So that brings a man into 3rd base with just 1 out. We need, a double play ball, a strikeout, something like that to keep this score at 0. We get a walk there. Now the double play is an option, or we can just go ahead and get that K. Buster Pringle doing a nice job racking up some strikeouts here in the early innings of this one. David Bote up next, and he will walk on the borderline pitch. Base is now loaded. This is the best scoring opportunity the Smokies have had. That brings up Spencer Henson. He gets a hold of this one into left field, but Jason Gill tracks it down. And that will be a 4th scoreless inning for Buster Pringle. Like I said, even though we've raised the sliders to increase the offense, this is a battle of aces, and it just might be, a low-scoring game. It has been exactly that, but Alden Evans will reach for us here, bottom of the 4th, with the leadoff single. Can we bring him around the base paths? Leandro Velasquez, really our only source of any kind of power, and his power isn't even elite. He's going to ground into a double play here. 3-6-3 for the Smokies. And yeah, you like getting a leadoff single as that increases your chances for scoring, but turning that into a double play definitely hurts our chances in this inning. Jason Gill turns on this one, but Spencer Henson once again, man, out here making plays at third base. I don't like this guy. We might be seeing our first rival of the series. Spencer Henson should calm down at third base. Let us get a couple of hits, if you ask me. Amaya, the catcher, will strike out here top of the 5th, bringing up Yason Santana. He strikes out as well, so Buster Pringle still going strong here in the 5th. Yason was one of the few people to get a hit on his first time at the base paths. Yohendrick Penango will get on base with 2 outs with a 2-out single on that full count pitch. Jefferson Encarnacion up next. Gets a hold of it, but an easy force out will make the score remain 0. Like I said, I played a few trial games with the slider set just to kind of make sure that there was some offense in the minor leagues, and this was easily the lowest offensive outputs I had seen. I had never seen a 0-0 game go past the 4th in my sample size. It wasn't a massive sample size. I think I did just 4 games. I did it with this roster, though, because I wanted to make sure that it would play in the minors, because I felt like testing it in the majors with, like, I don't know, spring training with some, like, random franchise file just wouldn't do it justice. So, because I generally do feel that the minors play differently than the majors in this video game, but we're able to get a scoreless 6th here out of Buster Pringle, and now we've got Kevin Sandoval and Carl McIntyre up next, our 2 first-round picks thus far in the franchise. Guys that we drafted for their defense, and thus far it's been showing because our defense has been good, but our offense not so much until now. Kevin Sandoval is going to get a hold of this one, and he does have some power against lefties. It's just his contact, vision, and discipline are so low that it's hard to trust that power, but it comes into play here for sure as he cranks that one into left field. Leadoff double. Now this is easily the best situation we've had thus far in terms of perhaps getting a score on the board. Carl McIntyre going to be out here, but he'll advance the runner to 3rd with 1 out. Any sort of solid contact here from Marty Dempsey should score a run, but it's a very weak tapper. Sandoval will not even advance, and we might be squandering yet another opportunity, but that brings up Alden Evans, who has 81 contact versus lefties. You'd really hope he could drive in this run. Gets good contact there, but not enough to get the hit. Couldn't find the gap. And oh boy, this is looking like quite the pitcher's duel, which is something that we've seen all too often, I think, in the minor leagues. But like I said, this seems to be on the very low end of offense. So I'm not going to go ahead and start changing sliders because of a game that had no offense. But it was around this time that I decided that I would be doing a second game here in this episode, just because you have a game where just the offense isn't working out. It's kind of a little bit more boring, I think. I mean, maybe there's some guys who just love pitching that are loving this first game. And hey, all more power to you. We're going to get caught stealing again, trying to steal on a pitch out. We've been caught doing that a couple times, and Maya definitely has the arm to throw us out when he gets that kind of advantage. And we are now into the 8th, still with the 0-0 ball game. Buster Pringle gets some action here in the 8th. Allows a hit to Pinango. And that would be the end of his day. Luke McCann would come in after that. They're trying to bunt the run. And he will be called out. So the bunt unsuccessful. Now 1 out with a man on first. Bringing up Kevin Alcantara, 0 for 3 today, and make that 0 for 4 as he's swinging on the slider. 2 outs now. Need 1 more from McCann, and he's got some nice stuff, getting some swings and misses from the heart of this Smokies order. Now Braylon Marquez would end up lasting a little bit longer than Pringle, as he would get an 8th complete inning there with the ground out from Sandoval. So now, top of the 9th, can somebody make a play and help us avoid extra innings in a 0-0 ball game, man? That just sounds like, if I'm at that game, I'm not enjoying myself. You know what I mean? But here we will get a double play after allowing the leadoff hits. So we are 1 out away from securing ourselves just a walk-off opportunity. All it takes is 1 good swing of the bat, but unfortunately this team has like no power, so I don't imagine that swing of the bat's going to be coming. Probably take 2 or 3 hits to bring that home. We will get that 3rd out, so let's go ahead and see. We got the top of the order here, bottom of the 9th. Carl McIntyre gets a hold of this one deep to right field. That one's going to hit the gap. Will be extra bases, and with Carl McIntyre's speed, you got to imagine that could even be a triple. And they're going to throw home just to make sure he doesn't get an inside the park home run. Easy triple for Carl McIntyre. Now all we need is one of the next 2 batters just to get some solid contact. We've got serious speed at 3rd base. Should be very hard to throw him out at home. And Marty Dempsey is up to the plate. And he's very good at hitting righties. His hitting against righties is in the 70s, but unfortunately he's hitting a lefty where his ratings are quite poor. Does get some contact here. They're going to throw home for McIntyre, but he's safe. He just beats the throw. And Carl McIntyre sliding into home is going to secure the opening day victory for the Birmingham Barons at the AA level. Not an exciting game unless you enjoy pitching for the majority, but you gotta love a game that comes down to something so close as what we just saw there. That was a bang, bang play. Birmingham will get the first win of the year, and I just gotta go back and see this steal, or I guess tag, or not even a tag, whatever. The dive attempt at home, I don't know technically what you call it, just a run, I guess. Looked so close in real time. Easily had it here in replay, and in fact, that tag never even touched him. Carl McIntyre, the elite speed, pays off for us here in Game 1 against the Smokies. But like I said, since there wasn't very much offense in that game, I wanted to get a second game in here, and I wanted to get a start for John May, who's pitching in the 3 spot for us to start the season. He is our highest ceiling pitcher. Ratings, we drafted him at like 58. He came into the year a little bit above that, or did we draft him at 55 and now he's 58? I can't remember, honestly. I think he's a 62 now, but I might be misremembering that. So with 2 outs, Kevin Alcantara will get a double and be in scoring position for the Smokies. Can May get out of this inning? He can with a swing and a miss on the curve ball low. So Smokey's got somebody in scoring position, something they so rarely did in the first game, but can't make anything of it. Swing and a miss for Carl McIntyre. That's our second straight game that we will start with a strikeout. And now Alden Evans will end the first with the grounder. So offense not starting up yet, but you can't just give up after an inning, you know what I mean? This will be a leadoff single by Hayden McGeary, getting the Smokies on base. He was a strikeout machine in the first one. I feel like he was very easy to get the K on at the plate in our first game. This one's hit well by Spencer Henson, and this could easily score two. Throw in by Alden Evans. He doesn't have the strongest arm, and the Smokies will score two. That's it. It's official. I don't like Spencer Henson, man. Game one out there making plays at third base, and now driving in the first 2 runs allowed in the series here in our second game. Spencer Henson, I hope you are a career minor leaguer. Just kidding. I'd actually love for him to be a factor in the MLB, and then he can be somebody that we face off throughout the duration of this franchise. I have no idea what his potential is, though. He might honestly be a career minor leaguer. That's a nice strikeout by John May. I mean, it wasn't the best placement, but, I mean, that guy was looking, so good enough, I suppose. Leandro Velasquez, he's going to hit one into left field to get on base now, bottom of the second. We now have 2 runs to make up. And I'd like to see us be able to do it. We have the best contact in all of AA. We're actually just the #1 overall team in all of AA. So there's a good chance the AA portion of this franchise is only 1 year. Because I honestly think this team is good. Really the only thing we lack is power. And Amaya just continues to throw us out here. I'd stop testing his arm if I was this team. Unless you're maybe one of the truly elite base runners on the team. Kind of the guys that are more like B-tier runners. I'd probably stop trying to test here. But John May gets a strikeout. Gets himself another. And through the third. John May out here striking out some batters. You like to see that for sure. These are some of the flashes that you want out of kind of that guy. The only guy on our roster right now that I would say has even the potential to be a future ace, but obviously still has a long way to go. Some of his ratings are in not the best of spots. Kevin Sandoval, I kind of talked about him in the intro about maybe him being not the best bat, maybe honestly the worst on the team, but he's been getting on base here for us in this episode. McIntyre will not get good contact on that one though, so not able to make anything happen here in the third. Another strikeout for John May to top off the fourth. I always love how this game shows like the angle of the pitchers bending down, looking like they're stuck in the dryer, waiting for Step Bro to come and help them. But that will be a clean 4th inning for May. Still have that 2-run deficit to overcome. And now we've got kind of heart of this lineup, and Marty Dempsey talked about him. Hits righties much better than lefties, and we see it there with a nice leadoff single. And now we just got to bring him across the board. He's got some decent speed on the base paths as well. Alden Evans, he is going to swing at the high ball. We actually are able to successfully steal the bag there from Amaya. Another bang play though. Amaya's been pretty good with these steal situations, I feel like. Alden Evans will be out, but he'll advance the runner to third, and this should be deep enough from Leandro Velasquez to get the tag. The throw was not good there from left field, and Leandro Velasquez will pick up an RBI here, and we trim the lead to 1. That would be it for our inning. Jason Gill would be retired quickly right after that. Now, John May into the 5th. Doing a good job actually controlling his pitch count, I feel like. But He does allow a hit here. Now, man, still on first. 1 out in the inning. Panango gets a hold, and that's a diving attempt from Jason Gill. Oh, that would have been so sweet, but just could not quite make the play. Those are the kind of plays that I think Jason Gill will eventually be able to make because his fielding rating is really good. It's going to be in the 90s for sure in the short order, but the Smokies now have loaded the bases here, and they'll get the first out. Jason Gill, he has really good fielding ratings. His arm is not that great, though. This is an easy tag for the Smokies, even though it's like a catcher who's not even that fast, but still, when the fielder doesn't have an excellent arm, it's going to be an easy tag. That would be the only run we allow to the Smokies, though. They re-extend their lead to 2. So we got to get things going. Kevin Sandoval 1 for 1 here in this game. 2-2 pitch coming up. He swings and misses. So that will be a scoreless inning for the Barons. Top of the 6th coming up. And Tim Blanton comes into the game and will get the strikeout. Now, later on in the inning, Spencer Henson, once again, our first rival. He gets out on the fly ball to right field. Carl McIntyre, he lifts this one into right field. That won't be caught. It's going to hit down. And with Carl McIntyre's speed again, you got to think this could be 3. And it will be again. 2 triples in the first 3 career games for Carl McIntyre. Showing off why we ended up picking him over some other guys in the first. He was kind of in a cluster of a bunch of similar guys. Had I known his durability was only 25, wouldn't have been him that we picked, but I like what I'm seeing so far. We just got to hope he stays healthy. Alden Evans here will bring in the run. So now it is 3-2, and Leandro Velasquez is going to get hit right in the leg. Jason Gill now with the runner in score position. We've got loaded bases for Benito Vasquez. 67 overall. Swing and a miss on the high inside fastball, I should say. So Smokey's able to get out of that inning, maybe with less damage than we would have hoped for, cheering for the Barons, of course. Nice range there by Carl McIntyre in center field. That's why we took him first overall. It's because above all the other guys in that range, we just felt like his two-way impact was going to be really good. Hendrik Panango will get a hold of this one into right field. Nice contact there. Chad Pollock just could not quite get to it. So that will be a double now for Encarnacion. Can he bring across the run? Marty Dempsey tracks it. And the answer to that question is no. So now bottom of the 7th. Still need to make up that 1 run. Won't come here with Blake Boyer, our first look at him in this game. He's been striking out pretty consistently. Kevin Sandoval, the unlikely source of on base. He's been our most consistent hitter. Somebody that I genuinely think is no better than the second worst batter in our lineup behind Chad Pollock, who's the only guy he's ahead of for righties. So, very surprised, but very pleasantly surprised. I love to see, the first pick we ever made in the series developing his weaknesses right in front of our very eyes. Carl McIntyre 1 for 3. Has a man in scoring position. Can he bring Sandoval across? Gets a hold of this one into right field, but it's going to be caught in foul territory. We're going to have Sandoval advance, but Marty Dempsey with a chance here strikes out. Cannot get that tying run. He throws the bat. He's frustrated, as am I. He'd love to be able to pick up this win. Now McCann comes into the game. Saw him in the first game as well. Get to see him again. I was really impressed with what I saw in that first game. Picks up a strike out here. I don't know what Kevin Wiseman was waiting for there. Is he related to James Wiseman of the Detroit Pistons? Drafted by the Warriors, of course, the big man center for basketball. Leandro Velasquez would get solid contact, but Kevin Alcantara at center field will range over to make the play. Jason Gill, 1-2 pitch. Well, some soft contact here easily handled by Bote and retired. Speaking of David Bote, he's up at the plate now. Hits this one to center field, but we've got a man who has got the range to cover a lot of ground in that area. He is out there. Spencer Henson back up to the plate. Chopper to short, and Boyer will retire him. Now we need one more out, and then we've got to make up for one run here, bottom of the ninth. This out will come spinning from Blake Boyer. Nice play made in center. Now Benito Vasquez, the first up to the plate to give us a chance here. Swing and a miss, strikeout for him. It's unfortunate that we have, not the best batters in our order here to try to make up this one-run lead, and we've now struck out twice. Kevin Sandoval, 2 for 3 in this game. Can he come up and hit for us again? He can! Kevin Sandoval, a 3-hit game. I mean, you saw his ratings at the beginning of this episode. They are nothing great. He's been excellent in this game for us. I absolutely love to see it. Even if we end up with a loss here, just seeing a really nice game from our catcher. Even really a nice 2 games with that double in the first game as well. But unfortunately, with 2 outs, the guy that is tasked to bring him home is Chad Pollock. He does have a full count here. A walk could bring across the top of our order. He ends up swinging at the inside fastball. I wonder what would have been called. Should he have looked at that? Because I would have loved to see if Carl McIntyre could have brought Sandoval home. So, ended up just quickly simming the rest of the month. I think that's the pace that we're going to go out for this series, is about an episode a month for the AA portion of it. Just want to kind of have the beginning of the series focused on the development of our young guys and the draft and building up the roster that will eventually be our MLB roster. So let's just take our first quick peek at the top of this draft. Alberto Rincon talked about how we needed power. This guy has plenty of it. He also is going to be a good contact hitter as well, just kind of building on the fact that this is a very high contact team. The problem is he has no defense. I'm still intrigued by this skill set just because our first round picks of the last 2 years were both focused on defense. So maybe this year we could switch it up, and since we've emphasized the top of the draft with defense so much with our first 2 drafts, maybe we can switch it up this year. And I think Alberto Rincon pretty safely is going to be the best offensive player in this draft. Has that, 18-point gap that I talk about being between 15 and 30 if you watch my draft tips and tricks video. So I think he's got a good chance to be a potential as long as he's in the 70s overall. David Alonso was somebody that we looked at, but he looks good initially, not really much anymore. I haven't set up my draft board for this year yet. I'll have that ready as soon as next episode, so we can start seeing how I rate these players in terms of the star rating system, and I'll start having a clear picture of how they will be ranked come draft time. So scouted some players, some have been hits, some haven't, like Ramon Juarez. He looks decent, but we've hammered outfield early on. I feel like our outfield is in a really good spot right now. I feel like we need more infield and pitching at this point. Manny Rincon is a pitcher I really like. Doesn't quite have the velocity I'm looking for, but break should be in a good spot. Stamina should be decent, and then that walks per 9 is going to come in something really high, which could be really exciting. And so he could be in play with the number 1 overall pick. We did win the number 1 overall pick in this draft for the second straight year, I think. I think we picked first last year, right? So with the lottery, you don't see that very often, but we get it twice. Delgado, I'm pretty confident is going to be more like high B potential, but maybe a guy in the 70s overall. Esteban Acevedo, if you're looking for velocity and break, this is your guy for sure. I definitely am, so I'm very intrigued with the possibility of maybe getting him with our second round pick. Definitely towards the top of my second round board right now, probably the top option on it. So some intriguing guys that we've already found in the draft. Still plenty of time to find a bunch more. And of course, like I said, set up the draft board for these players. But also discovered some guys like Juan Sixto here at reliever. But this is kind of a look at what we're doing for this week. But that's all I've got for this episode. I'll be back soon with another, and I will see you then.